Hey writers, we are here with part 7 of our Save the Cat experiment. Can't believe we're already more than halfway through. We are outlining a book here live with you guys every Wednesday for 10 weeks. And tonight we are talking about the bad guys close in beat. And I'm going to let my co-host, wonderful Bethany Altazada, introduce herself a little bit and ask you guys a little intro question before we get started.
Yay! Hi guys, how's it going? Let us know. We want to know where you're at in your outline today. Are you done with it? Have you totally passed us up, or are you still going? Just let us know where you're at, and especially if you're doing Camp Nano, we'd love to know if this is helping you. So let us know in the comments that you're here. And yeah, that's pretty much, we just want to know that you're here and hanging out with us. So let us know.
Yeah, and also we just want to remind you guys that on May 1st, we're going to have Jessica Brody here on my channel as a part of our Save the Cat experiment. Again, author of this lovely book here, and she's awesome, and we're so excited we get to ask her a bunch of questions. And so you can definitely submit questions through our website, through our newsletter, but also if you have any questions just right off the top of your head as we're here in the live stream, especially in the beginning here, just post them in there. Our moderator, Savannah, will try to capture them. Again, thank you so much, Savannah, for being here with us and helping us out, because it's a real help. We also, what are we going to do at the end, Bethany?
Yeah, sorry, I skipped everything. We also are going to chat with you guys about your story again, because we've had so much fun doing that the last 2 weeks. So if you have questions, or you just want to have us help you brainstorm your story and talk through the beats, and just it helps sometimes to talk to other writers. So we're going to spend the last, 20, maybe even 30 minutes at the end chatting with you guys, depending on how much time we have and how the bad guys closing in goes. We're a little nervous about this one, you guys, but Brittany is going to run through what tonight's going to be like, and then we're going to just jump in.
Yeah, so we are first going to do a little bit of recap, and we're going to do a shorter version. We're going to tell you a little bit about that in a second, of our story so far, because we are talking about the beats, but we're also trying to outline a book with you guys. So next we are going to sort of talk about the end a little bit, because we've realized once we get sort of the midpoint to the end, we're like, we really need to start talking about this ending. We have some ideas. We also have some plot holes. So we really need your guys' help. And then after that, we're going to sort of describe the bad guys close in beat based on, again, the book, and also then brainstorm the bad guys close in for a particular story, which we sort of, I feel like we need a working title at least. So I don't know. We didn't talk about this, but just
for the story itself.
Yes, I don't know. We should start taking.
Can we do both? Can you guys suggest ideas? I didn't even think of that. That's such a cool idea. Super random. Maybe we could do okay, I'm brainstorming live, sorry, but we could do an Instagram poll later and just have so much fun with it, and then at the end of it all or something.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I might want to keep it open till the end.
All the way to the end. Yeah.
But if you guys are feeling there's a title in your heart that you're this is the title for this book, type title in big caps in the comments, and then whatever you think the title should be, and then we'll sort of put it into our pool and see what happens, because I feel like we need to start being hey, this is Save the Cat experiment, and we're writing this is our working title. I think it'd be fun.
We're writing book blank 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 about the warrior princesses. Anyway, should we recap it? And you guys, just so you know, we talked about how it's getting really long to recap. So because we want to spend time brainstorming the bad guys closing in tonight, and we know it's going to take a lot of time because it's a really tricky beat, we thought we wouldn't recap every single thing that we've said before, because you guys can look at the outline. But we do have a really brief little summary that we're going to read. Yeah, Brittany, I'll let you start.
Sure, yeah, just to give you guys the basics. And again, if you're watching this right now or on the replay and you want to get more of the details, if we're brainstorming, you're what the heck are they talking about? There's a link to our website, and you can access the full outline there in the description below. But let's get into the recap. So we just wanted to sort of summarize the setup, including the opening image, the theme, all that kind of stuff, in Act 1. So we have 2 warring shapeshifter tribes. They're inspired by Viking culture, but set in a forest land. People get confused. They're not Vikings, but it's just the vibe we're going for. Yeah. We have 2 heroes. They are fraternal at this point, twin sisters who don't know that they're sisters. Each one is the heir of a separate tribe. And you can, again, check out the website for how that happened and the backstory and stuff like that. Thera is the heir of the Earth tribe. She is ruled by the Lion Shifters. Lore is the heir of the Sky tribe, and she is ruled by the Eagle Shifters. They are both searching for acceptance and needing to overcome their fears. So Thera over here is unable to control her shape-shifting abilities because she never completed this dream ceremony that we came up with that gives her her shifter tattoo thing. Lore is using her expert shifting abilities to hide who she really is. She has the tattoo of a griffin, which if you guys don't know is half lion, half eagle. Again, check out the outline on our website for more shapeshifter rules, but I'm going to hand it over to Bethany to do a little bit of the catalyst and debate.
Sure. Okay, so then Lore's father / the tribe leader is killed, and his advisor says it was the other tribe. You know, he's convincing everybody that, so he convinces Lore to go get revenge. And then Thera, on the other hand, her instructor is telling her that she might lose her abilities like completely if she doesn't go out and finish the dream ceremony. Like he figures out that she didn't do it. And so that's when we break into two /B story, and Lore is actually going to go out and attack Thera because she's trying to get revenge, thinks that maybe Thera was involved during the dream ceremony, and then she sees Thera get a griffin tattoo.
Just like hers. So I'm like, they know there's some kind of connection. But during the fun games, at the beginning of that, they choose to return to their clans and not knowing something. So Thera now has a griffin tattoo, and she is thriving because she has more control over her shape-shifting abilities. So she is on this upward path during the fun games. Lore, on the other hand, her tattoo is mysteriously missing. She has lost her shifter control, her expert shifter abilities, so she must hide even more than she was before, which cues our downward path for the fun and games.
Yes.
Do you want to do the first half?
Do the next part? Sure. So the midpoint is what we did. It's what we did last week, right? I'm blanking now.
Yes, it is.
So Thera has a false victory at the midpoint because your midpoint should either be leading up to a false victory or leading downwards to a false defeat. And the stakes will be raised and all these other things that we talked about last week that you can go watch if you're curious, and obviously read the book because it's amazing. But so Thera's false victory is we thought maybe some kind of celebration, like say, for example, her birthday. I think Carol suggested that last week. Or maybe some kind of ceremony anyway, where she received something that she thought would make her finally feel good enough, which is answering that shard of glass in her need and want. We're thinking it could be like a trophy. We joked about a gold sword last week, something that would bring her honor and praise, but it does not provide what she thought it would. And maybe she even had a list of things that would make her feel good enough, like, for instance, having all the shield maidens say that she's the best, and maybe a boy she likes or is seeing treats her better. Maybe the instructor respects her more, and whatever the case may be, whatever she wants, none of it happens. Like maybe the shield maidens debate that other people could be better than her, or the boy goes and makes out with another girl, or the instructor says, you know, she can be as good as she wants, but he still doesn't respect her because she doesn't listen, doesn't respect the rules or anyone else, etc. So we talked about, we're a little unclear still how her stakes will be raised for the midpoint. We're thinking like we want to, delve into why this trophy is so important to her. And maybe it's because she gets to be the warrior leader of a raiding party now or something like that. Or maybe she has to fight a bunch of people in order to actually get this trophy, and she has to battle them as a display of her skill. Or maybe somebody finds out about her griffin tattoo during this ceremony, like the instructor or her mom. So we're not totally clear on what's going to raise the stakes, but we do know Lore's part.
Yes, so while this is happening with Thera, Lore is over here. She's been on the outskirts of her tribe because she's hiding, remember, trying to figure out who really killed her father and what happened to her tattoo or abilities, and she thinks it probably involves Thera somehow, but she's just trying to figure everything out. So in her digging, she finally learns the big thing, or this moment of truth kind of deal, where either she finds out that the advisor killed her father, that sort of comes out, that his son Bjorn, who's been this boy crush, sort of had a crush on Lore, there's been something going on over there, she finds out that he was supposed to kill her, or learns like both at the same time. These are two different reveals that were like, should we have them sparsed out or should we have them revealed at the same time? We're still trying to figure that out. And then she tries to take revenge when she finds some of this stuff out, but because she can't shift properly, she's caught, and that's also sort of revealed to everybody that she can't shift anymore. Possibly Bjorn, our boy crush guy, who he can't pick a side, so maybe he's the one who exposes her. And so we're sort of like in this place where we still have a few questions of like, well, what happens now? We got a couple of options where maybe the advisor outs her to the tribe at that point. She is either kicked out of the tribe completely or they want to imprison or kill her. So she tries to escape and they pursue her. Or the advisor could be a little more like sneaky and he says, and he doesn't out her, but says like, hey, you have to leave or I'm going to out you. Or she just tries to run away before the tribe can really find out. So either way, we have her going to find Thera to try to get her abilities back to try to seek revenge eventually. So that is what we know so far for the midpoint.
Yes. Let us know what you think, guys. Let us know. And everything Brittany just said is what leads into tonight. So we're super excited, but also we kind of talked about this before and that we need to know where we're going at this point. We need to know the end. So do you want to share what we're thinking and like our number one option, so to speak, and like our backup plan?
Yeah. So our preference right now, especially because you guys were like, hey, like we'd really like a bittersweet ending, nothing like too happy, especially because we've got the whole Viking like feud going on kind of deal. Our option A is that maybe these tattoos are actually restricting their abilities. And so like, what if like both tribes can actually shift into any kind of creature, but the tattoos at some point in their history were instated to then keep them separate and to restrict them from being able to do all that they could do. So the end would sort of be to get rid of the tattoos, which could be really controversial because a lot of people probably don't want to. And so this could end up sort of bringing us into a place with an ending of where they create like this third tribe where there's a bunch of people that either they find that have been griffins all along as well, or that just really want to explore this whole avenue of like, hey, we don't want to be restricted by these tattoos. So yeah, so our plot hole with this though is that why do Thera and Lore from a while ago, Thor. Why do Thera and Lore have griffin tattoos then? Like, I don't know, but as we were talking about it, we're just like, we came up with this whole like griffin tattoo thing, but now they have to get rid of it. Like, why do they have to have them? And how is it actually helping their abilities? And now it's not. We don't really know. So you guys let us know if you figure out a way to make this work for us, because this is like sort of our favorite idea right now. And do you want to share the second?
Yeah, so then the other option is that they do keep the tattoos and the tattoos end up being a good thing. And so like Laura and Thera would probably be the only griffins then in the end. So we're very unclear about this. So what we kind of figured out is like that the ending, the tattoos are going to play a really big role, these magical tattoos. If you guys don't know, I just realized we kind of didn't put them in the outline that we told you at the beginning, but they're like the person's true self is kind of what we're thinking. Another thing that we kind of played with is that they like will restrict a gift and that they're actually sort of like almost like a Harry Potter's hat, because I haven't read the books, but I know about the hat and it like puts people in houses, right? So like the tattoos is like, okay, you are in the lion tribe, you are in but like, but it's something to do with that, but like in a different way, obviously, because we need to figure out, well, how do Thera and Laura have a griffin? So if you guys have some ideas, this is probably our biggest plot hole and our favorite thing to have right now.
Time.
At the same time. So let us know what you think, because then we're like, we followed both trails. Do they keep the tattoos? If they like the tattoos, then what is everybody else's tattoo? First of all, maybe like brainstorm that. And then if they are trying to get rid of the tattoos, what happened? We don't know.
So too is like we have this like tattoo thing that sort of gets assigned to you through this dream ceremony, but then we also have this like backstory where they're sisters, and that's part of why they became griffins, because the Eagle King, who's now killed and dead, had an affair with the Lion Queen, and she had twins, and he took one of them. And there's a bunch of different versions we have of like why Lore was taken, or if it was like amicable, or if Thera's mom, the Lion Queen, knows that Lore's still alive or not. We don't know, but these are all fun things that we can play with. So yeah, I see some like
a ton of good comments about titles.
Titles,
I'm so
yes.
distracted right now. I love it. Roar and Soar, Ink of Fate, Air versus Earth, Earth and Sky, Shaped Sisters. I love that.
That's so fun.
I love these.
Well, keep them coming, seriously, and we're gonna go back and make sure we've got all of them. This is so fun. I do see.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. I do see a few comments, and I know you guys are probably typing, so keep typing. But Anna says, I don't know if this works, but the stakes for Thera could be raised by some battle pre-ceremony where she realizes she cannot control her powers yet and struggles a lot.
Yeah.
So that's good for that one. Thank you, Anna. Let's
like add it to the fun and games, kind of. I love that.
Yes. Yeah. And then Mary says, well, something that is in another fantasy story on the app game chapters is that there are these twins, and this magic is sun and moon because of how they were born around midnight, like one was born.
Okay.
All right.
So I think like one was born before and after is what she's saying.
Maybe.
I've heard about stuff like that.
Yes. So that would sort of, have more to do, if we changed the fact that they're, well, I guess they wouldn't, I don't know. We're still back and forth. Are they twins? Are they not twins? Sisters?
Right.
So I guess we're still flexible there, but at this moment, they're still
probably, because if we wanted our ending to be more focused on them being sisters and that revelation at the end, which we're not sure that we want to do, we kind of like you guys' idea of a bittersweet ending, but it's sort of like which is going to be our focus? Is it going to be, on bringing people together and the tribes together, which would be probably more the tattoo option, and like figuring that out, or do we want it to be more about them being sisters and like narrowing in? So
right.
Yeah.
There's too many options. And we do want to sort of talk about this for a few minutes, because we obviously want to get to the bad guys close in very soon, but we wanted to hear what you guys thought so that it might be easier to get to the bad guys area. Basically, at this point, maybe let us know in the comments, do you like this idea where like the tattoos are gone and like they like make this like third tribe? Or do you like the idea where the tattoos stay, but then like what happens if they keep their tattoos? Or do they, I'm even thinking like, in the moment, maybe the tattoos can morph, like
that'd be cool.
Like in the same way the dream ceremony, there's maybe part of it that's part of a choice. So like maybe there's some way that they can choose to like morph, and then they create this third tribe with all the ones that choose to morph in.
Like if there wasn't originally like a really good ceremony for control, but then these like priest people or somebody was like, let's make it more restrictive and only put them in one tribe or the other, and then so they get rid of the bad side of it, but they keep the good side of it, basically. I like that a lot. That solves a lot of problems.
That would be, that would sort of put like our favorite things together without super plot holes.
Anna says she likes the tattoo idea, but that getting rid of them completely might lead to them like digging deeper into the meaning and like where it comes from. I don't know if I'm totally following. Like getting rid of them might be better for the story to dig deeper into, or are you thinking something else?
Yeah, I'm not sure if you're saying it's like a good idea or a bad idea. So if you could clarify that with us.
Andrea says raising the stakes by finding out how their Griffin abilities play into it, which is so, yes, we need to keep that in the back of our minds. Oh my gosh, I'm sidetracked. Ellery says daughters of Griffin or daughters of the Griffin. Oh my gosh. I love
this. I love it.
Name all my books, please.
We need a book naming team.
Yes, this is awesome.
What if the tattoo changes to the opposite side?
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, that would change a lot because then it would be more of like they'd be switching than like actually morphing. Like for some reason we really like this idea that like the griffin like brings at least some of them together, is more powerful when
yeah.
it's morphed. We like the mystical like creature kind of deal.
Yeah.
So
I'm just obsessed with the morphing idea now that you said it because before this we were talking about how like they can't all be griffins beforehand before like things go down in the story because then why wouldn't they all just tell each other? It would come out. There's no way it wouldn't like there's no way everybody would keep it a secret. So probably nobody's a griffin before besides Lauren Thera. But then if it can morph, then you have the opportunity to have more later on. So I
yeah,
love that.
yeah,
And I love the like almost is there a story out there? I'm picturing it, I can't think of the name or the details, but where it was like the water was poisoned and so when you're like drinking it or something was poisoned and made dark so that as you're doing it, it's bad, but if they like clean it out and purify it, it becomes like good for you again. So kind of the same thing with this dream ceremony, like somebody polluted it and they made it into something it shouldn't have been and then like they could purify it back to being you know, like it's only helpful to you instead of like putting you into a box.
yes. No, that would be really awesome. And I wonder too, like even if not all of them want to be griffins, like maybe because Laura and Thea are griffins, like they can help somehow. Like
Yeah.
someone, hold on, where did I missed it? Somebody said, Kelly said maybe they can gain control of their tattoo.
Ooh, I love that.
Voice.
Yeah, yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andrea likes Kelly's idea. Anna says, as they start getting control of their abilities, the tattoos start developing into a griffin.
I love that. And then the reason that Laura and Thea like get the griffin without even trying is because of their heritage. Like probably the tribes haven't mixed for so like maybe even centuries, decades or centuries. So like it's been pretty much separated for so long that when they mix, it's going to come out really strong.
Right.
Mhm.
But overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
Because
And
Laura
like,
had to work really hard, I think we were saying,
yeah,
to
to hide
become
it.
an expert shifter, even
Yeah.
though she had like a lot of power. It took a long time. Thera like gets this like bolt of energy right
Yeah.
away and she's able to do all these things, but it's almost somebody said it really well. And I think we've sort of put it in the outline. It's like it has more control of her than she does of it at this point.
Yes. Yes. I
Um,
love that. So now I feel really good about going into the bad guys close in. Should we do the like
right.
summary of what it is? And then we can tell you guys we have like a couple ideas that we just want to bounce off you. And then we probably need to like really get your help.
Yes. I just don't want to miss any of these. Do you want to just read like two
Couple
or
more
three more?
comments?
There's just a couple that look like chunky that look like they might be helpful.
Yes, yes.
Um,
Elizabeth says maybe when the sisters come together, the tattoos morph magically into something, and then it ends up creating a third tribe where some people don't want to go into it. I love that.
awesome. And then Ingrid says griffins were in Greek mythology seen as really powerful creatures
Yeah.
due to it being a mix of two kings. Yeah, and were thought to guard something precious. Ooh.
And then continued, she says, so maybe she goes continue down to the next one. Maybe when they realize that they have griffin abilities, they can find something precious that's been lost for ages and was why the tribe started fighting. That is so cool. Like, so there's like an ultimate goal.
Yes. Maybe during the second half, like that's like part of it.
Yeah, yeah.
The other thing, just real quick too, is that during the midpoint, we did not make them finding out that they're sisters. We were thinking about maybe during the bad guys close in at some point or the all is lost moment. So as we're planning the bad guys close in, guys, if you see a moment that you're like, this is where they should find out they're sisters, then just let us know. Okay. Maybe Katie says maybe those who have a tattoo of a feather are chosen to morph into a shapeshifter. Okay, all right. Anne says maybe each tribe had something different to drink for the dream ceremonies so they can only access their tribe's animals, but Thera's father secretly mixed them before Laura's trial so she can access both. That takes away, like the more like blood genetic thing, but it's a cool idea to pull around with. And so during her trial, and the tattoo is based on what they shift into the dream. During her trial.
Oh, it's like another continued one. So
Yeah.
she acts as both during her trial, kind of gives them a dream, and then whatever dream they have is what they shift into or settle into or whatever. So it's sort of like a chain effect. I
Yeah.
don't know if I'm following that, but that's what I think I understand.
Cool. Okay. All right. I think we
Yeah.
got most of them. I just didn't want to catch anything.
Yeah. And like we always say, guys, we'll come back. We will be watching these later.
So, okay. So we have, do you want to talk about what the bad guys close in? So we have two things. We have obviously the stuff in Save the Cat, but then a couple weeks ago we talked also about the book Five Secrets to Story Structure by K.M. Weiland, which is free on Amazon, and it is a quick read and it's an awesome read by our friend Hannah, and it has a few other details that can be helpful for you while plotting the bad guys close in. So do you want to do the
Sure.
Save the Cat?
Summarize that part.
Mhm.
Okay, let's do it. So this is in the book. It's like the 50% to 75% of your story. So it's like the most massive chunk besides, I think, the fun and games. They're pretty much the two most enormous chunks of the whole story, and therefore the most confusing to figure out. The hero is going to either rebound from like their, what is FD again? I can't remember.
Oh, sorry, I did shorthand. False defeat and then
So they're, like we talked about in the midpoint, they're either going to have that false defeat and they're going in a downwards path, or a false victory on an upwards path. And whatever, like if they're going on a mountain or if they're going on a valley, they're going to go the opposite direction. So their internal bad guys, their flaws, are going to close in on them one way or the other. Whether it's an upward path, the bad guys are still going to be like there in the background. And whether they're external bad guys or they're internal and it's just their flaws. It's named after an action scene in a movie where the bad guys regroup after failing to enact an evil plan and in the midpoint, and they come back stronger, more organized with like bigger and badder weapons. So you guys can probably all picture a movie where the bad guys actually literally close in. But there's also almost always, or maybe always, internal bad guys. So you might not have anything external in the story, but internally it's going to be happening to the character. And so we did kind of talk about this already, but the downward path is where they thought they won, but then things start getting progressively worse. So that's like coming down the mountain. I don't know why I like that mountain image, but it helps me picture it. And so that's what Thea is going to do. She's coming down the mountain. She thought she was on an upward path. She thought she had victory. Now she's coming down the mountain. Bad things are happening to her. Everything's going wrong. And then the false defeat is the upward path now is what they're coming out of the valley and going up. They're going to be like seemingly lost, but then life starts progressing and getting better, and the hero starts to make great strides and improve their situation. They start conquering obstacles. Maybe the Act 2 world isn't so bad, and then all of this is lore, by the way. So she's like coming out of the valley, like actually, maybe it's not so bad. So we're going to talk about what that's like for her in a little bit. And then either way, these internal bad guys, these flaws, whether they're on an upward path or a downward path, are wreaking havoc and they're sabotaging whatever the hero is trying to do until they learn the theme and they finally learn to fix things the right way. So that was a long explanation, but then Brittany is going to show you guys like the extra help that we have because this is such a big beat. So she has like 3 secrets to add to this.
Yeah. So KM Weiland, similar to how we talked about the fun and games a few weeks ago, she splits up the bad guys section into like 2 major sections, but then there's like a middle event that happens. So it's called action. The middle event is the pinch point, and then renewed push to victory is the next sort of half of the bad guys close in. So the first half of the bad guys close in is action. With this new understanding that the hero has learned in the midpoint, they are now armed with enough information to start fighting back, and they start gaining headway. The middle sort of moment that happens in the middle of the bad guys close in is called the pinch point. So, and it sort of answers the question, what is at stake? So the antagonist power is shown again. It is a reminder of the stakes. This might reveal like some more clues about the main plot as well. And it foreshadows the coming all is lost beat that we're going to talk about next week. So we've got this first half, we've got this little event that happens in the middle of the bad guys close in, and then the second half is this renewed push to victory. So the main character is inspired to push forward in a renewed attack upon the antagonist or the antagonistic force that will eventually lead to another defeat in the all is lost. Okay,
Yeah.
so what this sort of the motion, right, or the mountain or whatever we want to call it, for the bad guys close in is this action. They're acting. They have this pinch point moment where like the stakes are like, ah, okay, this is really important, and we're gonna get it. We're gonna go for it. And then they have this renewed push to victory, and then right before they hit the all is lost. So that's sort of like the motion that we want to capture.
Yes, yes. So now we're climbing down the mountain or like tumbling down it for Thera, and we are climbing up it happily with Lore. So should we go like into the ideas we have that are kind of like naturally flowing out of, I think we actually said some of them last week even, but do you want to
Yeah,
read a couple, like maybe Lore and I'll do Thera?
sure. So these are some of the ideas, like we said, for our bad guys area. We want to know what you guys think, and we want to know if you have any other ideas because y'all are amazing. So for Lore, maybe we have her going out to find Thera at this point, which that's what we think we want to do, to get her abilities back and figure out what happened to them so that she can finally get her abilities back and take revenge on this advisor guy. And then this would sort of like Thera would be like the first goal, and then it would lead to like the ultimate goal of the ending of the book kind of deal. And then Bethany's going to talk about Thera.
Yes, yeah. So then, and Brittany was saying how like that would kind of make Lore Thera's bad guy for a little while, like for a brief point, she'd be the antagonist. But Thera is coming from this false victory. So she's gonna possibly, we're thinking like her defeat could be almost immediate. Like it's such a brief victory and then it immediately crumbles and falls apart because she realizes she doesn't have as much control as she thinks, which we think would maybe help her to actually want Lore in her life to basically be like, maybe Lore is the only person that she can tell that she doesn't have control because everybody else, she's been faking it. She's been like, I know what I'm doing. She's been pretending to have the tattoo and the control forever and she just got it. So maybe she can be like, Lore, can you help me learn to control it when they run into each other? So like some kind of conflict, and which we should probably say the next part. I'll let Brittany say the next part because we have to explain that.
Yeah, so this like additional idea that sort of works hand in hand is what if up to this point Lore falsely thinks that Thera stole her tattoo? Like we're sort of have like an unreliable narrator kind of moment where we think too that like, oh, Thera stole it from her.
Yeah.
But instead what they find out is that because she entered the dream world for a second time, Lore had done that in order to first attack Thera in the beginning of the story. When you're not supposed to do that, it actually reverses the spell or whatever would give her the tattoo. So Lore is thinking Thera took my abilities, I want to get them back. But what actually happened is that Thera actually got her abilities the right way. She still ended up with a griffin because we know her backstory. Lore lost them because she was in the dream ceremony again. They went away. So this way, Thera could help her realize this, revealing that she didn't steal it after all. And this makes maybe Lore has to go back into the dream world to get hers back again. Thera tags along because she's in the midst of begging Lore to teach her how to master her abilities. So we have this like, again, like sort of B story, like they need to help each other with their issues.
And
do you want to? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say it's good because you guys have pointed this out. Multiple people have pointed out that we had a plot hole. Like if Thera was actually stealing Lore's tattoo, then why wouldn't Lore notice like sooner? So it's kind of cool because we can let Lore think and the reader like think all the way up to this point that Thera stole her tattoo, but really she didn't. And so I think it's going to solve that major plot hole. And then we were talking about how Lore could then go on like an upward path because we want her to be, if she's coming out of a false defeat, we want her to start progressively getting better like the book talks about. So we were thinking, what if Lore starts making these great strides in her abilities where maybe at some point she just kind of like tests out this griffin and without the repressive, like restrictive stuff that's in the tattoo in theory, she just realizes she has even more than she ever thought and she can do so much more. And so she starts to like almost embrace the griffin in her. And like, we thought we could play with her actually starting to be like this is really cool. Like, why do we have the tattoos? This is so much better. So it's just an idea. We're not sure. We wanted to see what you guys think. Let us know if that's weird or if you like it. And what else, Brittany? There was something else that we had.
Well, I think we were getting a little ahead of ourselves, but
Okay.
we were thinking, no, but I definitely want to share it because it might be sort of the direction that we go in, is that maybe she's trying, like, eventually she wants to convince her tribe that she is still a good leader, even though she's a griffin, and that she comes back, but it's going to lead to an all is lost where they reject her completely or even try to kill her at that point.
Yeah.
So that is an idea there. And then I see comments coming in. So are you cool to start?
Yeah, read a couple.
Before we go too recent, I did see a bunch of people saying, I like Ingrid's idea. So I'm just going to go back and read it real fast. So she said, so maybe when they realize they have griffin abilities, they can find something precious that has been, okay, maybe that was it. We already read that part, I think. Did I miss it? Okay, never mind. We can go on. I think I already heard
that. But somebody was saying, Gabriella was saying she loves that unreliable narrator idea that you mentioned, and I gotta agree. That was all Brittany. I was like, that's so cool. I never thought of that.
I love unreliable.
Yeah.
Cool. And then let's see. Irida said, learning about those pinch points and using them with Save the Cat has been so important to help tighten up my plot. It's almost magical. Yay! Woo! Yes, that's awesome.
Yay. I agree. Oh, okay, Brittany, this is a super tangent, but can I say one really quick thing while I'm thinking of it?
Yes.
We were talking about this in my Discord group, and we were like, somebody was worried that, they'd come across Save the Cat too late and they had most of their draft, and I was like, actually, that's amazing. Like, just keep drafting. You can edit just as easily with the beats. You can come back and be like, okay, what beat does this part of my story fall under? And if it doesn't, it might not need to be there. And like, you can like edit and go back. So we might talk about that more later, maybe with Jessica, and ask her how she would edit with the beats. Would that be fun, guys?
Totally. And Bethany and I are both editing right now. And I think we can speak for both of us that we are constantly referencing this book at every stage. So yes, I love that. Andrew says, I really like the idea from last week where Lore gets captured and Thera has to go to Lore for help and break her out of jail. And I really like Lore's loss of her tattoo. Is her own fault. Yeah, for sure. I love that. Cool. Ellery says maybe that's when they find out that they're sisters. I know you said that a little bit ago, so remind us, which moment do you think that they should find out?
Oh, and then she said, what if when Elle thinks that T stole her abilities, the fact that they're sisters comes out? So she kind of clarified later, like right when Lore is like kind of figuring out that it wasn't Thera, they could be like, well, then why do you have the griffin? And they could be like, well,
yes,
Bob.
Yes,
that could be a really cool spot.
I like that.
Yeah.
And it like they won't know for sure. Like it could just be sure at first. But then I think I really feel like there's got to be this moment with either or and like the moms that are involved, because Thera's mom is their real mom. And again, we don't know if she knows that Lore is still alive and who she is and where she is, or she thinks she died and that's why she's never looked for her or whatever. So it could be that the mom somehow gets involved and like, sort of brings to light like the backstory and how everything happened. It could also be that Lore's mom, who we think is actually human but married a shifter, might know some stuff as well. So there's all these fun things that we can play with, but I think it'd be really cool, for them to be like, I think we're related. And then to have to try to figure that out, and maybe they go confront their moms. I don't know.
That would be so cool. And then Anna is saying, like, is Lore Thera's bad guy closing in? I don't know if she's her. She could actually be like her literal bad guy for a brief season, but I think Thera's bad guys are almost all internal. Like, I don't know what you think, Brittany. Do you feel that way too?
Thera's, I think, but Lore, I think we're still trying to figure out which character is sort of like the main character, and I think Lore is sort of coming to the surface a little bit because she definitely has the highest stakes so far. And
Mhm.
she definitely has like the most obvious antagonist.
Yeah.
And she sort of has the longest way to go, maybe, because she's like
Yeah. I think
hiding
so.
something and like she has to like out herself basically at some point or be
Mhm.
okay that she's outed.
Yeah.
So yeah, so but Thera definitely has a lot of internal bad guys. I think we played around with the idea early on that she sort of deals more with like anxiety. Like
Mhm.
Laura has something like more of like an external kind of like the tattoo and the thing that she has to hide, but Thera has like anxiety around not being able to shift and like having all this pressure and all this stuff. So but I definitely think Laura like acts as like a little antagonist. We also played around with her instructor too,
Yeah,
being
yeah, yeah. And
Mhm.
the advisor, because I see Jacqueline or Clary asking about the advisor, and like he's a bad guy too. And yes, there's multiple bad guys. Now, did we say I'm like blanking on like what we've said in this live versus what we've said off the air, so to speak? But we did think that maybe in this upward path at some point, like if Lore had tried to attack the advisor and tried to like um maybe take revenge for her father dying. Like we don't know how much she knows for sure, but like maybe there needs to be some more interaction there during the bad guys close in.
Yeah,
Only like a reverse, she'd be closing in on the bad guy.
right. But
I
maybe
don't know what
she
you guys
has like I almost think because we were going back and forth in the midpoint of
yeah,
like, does the whole tribe find out or not? And I sort of feel like
that's important.
it should be like a buildup where like the advisor is like, if you don't leave, like,
I'm gonna tell everyone.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
tell everybody. And that's like still her like, I need to leave, like I can't like,
yeah,
and then but her way of like fixing it maybe the right way is still like going to seek help through Thera.
mhm,
Um, but then later down the line is when like he reveals it or she outs herself or something and
yeah,
maybe like the all is lost is that the tribe doesn't accept her and then she has to deal with that but at least then she's
yeah.
like okay like I did the right thing I accepted myself kind of deal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it could be cool to even, like you said, if um she's not told like outed to the whole tribe until the all is lost moment, it makes the all is lost a lot deeper. But then also she needs something that would make her run away. So what if maybe the uncle, I always do this, the advisor, what if he knew when he sent Lore out to attack Thera and he's like, go into the dream world, you can get your revenge there. What if he knew all along that it would take her
Yes,
tattoo away? Would that
yes,
be cool?
yes, and I think I had that thought like sometime today and I get to talk
Yeah.
to you about it. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
then that would like implement, like, depending on how important this tattoo is to them, if he's like, sorry, you can't be the leader now, you don't even have a tattoo. And she's like, how do you know that? He's like, because I just know, I don't know.
You're right. Well, and maybe that's why he sent his son after her
Yeah.
because he knew that she would not be as strong as she usually is, kind of.
Oh, shoot. That makes me think of a plot hole though, because if he sent his son after and he actually went into the dream ceremony, then he should have lost his tattoo as well. Maybe he
Maybe
didn't go
he
into
doesn't, maybe he doesn't go in. Maybe he's there, like right when she like emerges, and
yeah.
then he goes to like attack her, but instead he like starts flirting with her or something.
Yeah. Yes, yes, because it all comes back to how if we have our very opening image is like him, the boy crush, attacking Lore in almost like a playful way, but it's like their culture is just like surprise attack, kind of like Pink Panther style, if anybody's seen that. And so he like jumps out at her, and maybe she doesn't realize that he was actually trying to kill her that time. She's just like, really, again, you're here. And so anyway, we had kind of smoothed over that plot hole.
Right. Well, and it could be a moment like if he attacks her, she could try to shift and it not work.
Yeah,
And then
and find out right away.
maybe he didn't even know that that was going to happen,
Yeah.
and so it like it throws him off, and then he's just like, I can't attack her while she's like defenseless. Like that's
Aw, it
you
makes sense
know
to have a redeeming moment.
right.
I
And then
love
he just
that.
turns it off like he was just like playing around again.
Yes, I love that. Okay, let's run with it.
Okay.
So we have a ton of comments. Should we read a couple before we keep going?
Yes.
Let's see. So the last one I read was about the advisor and the bad guy. And then Elizabeth or Mary likes the moms being involved again. She thinks that's a really good idea.
Okay.
I can't tell what Anna's referring to for Gabriella's idea. And a lot of
Um,
people are saying they love Gabriella's idea. Let me scroll back.
okay.
Oh, about how she says this might change what happened earlier, but they could have a lion or eagle tattoo, but without the tattoo, Laura's finally able to start being the griffin. I see what you're saying. So that would change a lot. It would
Mhm.
definitely mean a big outline rewrite, but I like what you're saying, where the griffin doesn't come into play right at the beginning, it comes in later.
Right, right.
Yeah. We're gonna keep plowing forward, but we gotta keep that in mind if we do write this, because we could consider.
Yeah. Do you guys want us to write this? Like, like literally, like write this as a story?
Yeah,
Because
let us know.
we're
We
trying to,
can do this too.
and like our plan would be to actually give it to our newsletter subscribers for
Mhm.
free. Like, it wouldn't be, we wouldn't charge
Just
for
like
it.
a side project. Yeah.
We would give everybody who's been like involved with us like a shout out in the story too.
Yes, yes. Speaking of which, again, side note, really fast. I've heard of other CPs having a writing chain where they'll just email back and forth and keep a story going, and it's more of a writing practice, like a exercise that they keep going together. So it's like, you write 1,000 words and then you write 1,000 words, or however they want to do it. So if you guys want to do this with your CPs ever and just like have a side project that you're just doing to work on your writing and like practice, just saying that's an awesome idea.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been super fun to like and interesting because we both have like very different ideas sometimes and like then you guys have ideas and
Yeah.
so it's been really cool and then like having the actual back and forth writing is we'll do like a vlog or something when you
We
guys
should.
but everybody is like you need to write this book so we're thinking it would probably we're actually adding like a whole lot in here so like we were thinking it would be a novella but I don't know there's a lot of stuff in here guys.
Yes, we'll see how it goes. I wouldn't even know if we would want to send out like first draft or anyway. This is definitely going off track, but it's really fun. Hey Jesse, thank you guys. So many people are saying they would like Ingrid said she would buy it. You guys, we would give it to you for free. We would just be like, you're the best.
Yes.
If you're on the newsletter.
Yeah. Sign up if you haven't already.
Yes, yes. But anyway, I sidetracked us so bad, but it was worth it.
Mary just said she'd edit it for free. What?
Oh my gosh, you're amazing.
That would be so
I love
cool.
you guys. So awesome.
I love this so much.
Yes.
Okay, good thoughts, comments. So, let's see. What do we have here? Andrea, I like her outing herself. Maybe she's forced to out herself by the advisor, like she wants to before she can.
Ooh,
I love the idea of him planning the loss of the tattoo. Awesome,
cool.
awesome.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that.
If Bjorn went into the dream place, he could say he was trying to help from someone who attacked them, haha, and then they would miss him. Yes. Yeah, and Larry or somebody was like, what are his motivations, Bjorn? And I think we have him very conflicted because he probably wants to like make his father proud and like because the advisor wants his son to be the next ruler. That's sort of like the advisor's trying to kill off the royal family very sneakily. So because he thinks he can get in position, but he wants to set it up so that his son will be in position. And Bjorn's just like, that's what my dad wants. That's what he thinks is best. He sort of probably admires his dad. But he also really admires Laura and has grown to like have feelings for her or what he maybe thinks is feelings, or maybe he started out trying to get to know her to get like the inside scoop and like pretended to like her. Now he really likes her. So he's like in this big, like conflicted kind of stuff.
Yeah. Like when you say, is he good or bad? I actually like the idea of like, we don't know and the reader doesn't know and Laura doesn't know. Nobody knows. He doesn't even know. Like maybe at the end, it would be so cool if like, we'll get there. Anyway, I'm not going to go there, but it'd be just cool to have, I love stories where you actually waffle and you're like, are they good or are they not good? They just did this nice thing and then now they're mean to her. Kind of like, hello, this book right here. So,
all over the place.
all over the place. So I actually really enjoy that when it's a little unclear, I think. So we don't know yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think we've got some really good, like, scene ideas and,
Mhm.
like, a lot of great conflict.
Yeah.
Um,
So we have like 10 minutes left in our plan before we were gonna chat with everybody else. Do we wanna go over those, like, would it be fun to do those 3 points, like the action, pinch
yes.
point, like what's at stake, and then the renewed push to victory, and just kinda like
Yes.
for each of them one at a time maybe? Would that be good?
Yeah, and I'm just looking, do you wanna also get the Save the Cat book and just we'll
Yeah,
go through the questions real fast?
let's do it.
We
This
like to
is our
remind you guys, right, that on a certain page, which Bethany is going to tell you
I
in the
think
book,
75.
75, there
Yeah.
are questions that you can ask yourself as you're
Oh,
plotting each beat or editing each beat and making sure that you are there. So if you wanna go through those questions first, then I can sort of check out the
good
action
idea.
point
Yeah,
stuff.
absolutely. Okay, so, it's actually 77, you guys. There's the checklist, and the bad guys close in has 2 questions. She says that you should ask yourself, kind of like double check your outline. Is the path of this beat a direct opposite of your fun and games? Which, again, that like, the valley or the mountain. And that is like if your hero is succeeding in your fun and games, are they floundering here and vice versa? And so, have you also, the second question is, have you shown or identified how the internal bad guys, their flaws, are working against your hero? So, I think personally that one's the harder one for me. I can usually put them on the right path, but it's like, what's happening internally that we need to figure out?
So I think we definitely have that where there's like an opposite kind of
Mhm.
effect going. Like for
Yep.
the first point, like Laura and Thea are starting to like work together. I think we definitely have them interacting, figuring out things together, trying to like figure out what happened with the tattoos and like their abilities and there's maybe possible sisterhood and stuff like that. And so I think we have that.
Yeah, I think
Um,
you're right.
yeah.
Yep.
And then, what was the other question? The internal bad
The
guys, right?
internal bad guys. That's the trick for me always. Let
Yeah.
me know, guys, if you have trouble with this, but I can never figure out what their internal bad guys are. Like, I know Thera's is something about her not feeling good enough, but it's like, what are her bad guys? If she doesn't feel good enough, is it like if she, watches, we talked about her watching like her crush or whoever, maybe she's actually seeing somebody and he goes and makes out with somebody. We talked about the shield maidens, sort of still hating her pretty much, kind of Mean Girl style, like where she thinks that she's finally become good enough and then she's not. And then we talked about, I really liked the instructor one because, if she looks up to this mentor and he's still like, yeah, you still don't listen. So you're not any better. Sorry.
Mm.
So it'd be really cool to see. I don't know if that's an internal bad guy though. What do you think, Brittany?
I think it's definitely like her fighting with herself or whatever her
Yeah.
flaws are. So like for her, I think it's well actually for Laura, I can sort of see that a lot more because she's still, even though she's trying to do things the right way
Mhm.
now, like working with Thera and like trying to find out like what's going on, she is still hiding. Like she's still having a hard time. Like maybe she opens up to Thera and that's like a big step for her, like showing
Yeah.
her who she really is. But
Yeah.
like she's still really scared to do that with like her whole tribe. Um,
Mhm.
with Thera, I think that, she is just in this place where she has to start realizing that she's okay, even if her ability is not fully controlled, and so like she's fighting with that
Mhm.
like anxiety of like, I need people to like me. I need people to,
Yeah,
I think that's
absolutely. And maybe we could like visually show it by, because like show don't tell, right? Maybe there could be a lot of showing of her if her and Laura are together. Laura would be, having a great time, becoming a griffin, like opening up accidentally almost, because like if she sees her be a griffin, then she's got to open up about that. And then, Thea's over here, like if Laura's like coaching her, Thea could just be like her internal bad guys could be, I suck. I'm still not getting this. Like, what's going on? And like hating on herself the way that we all do when we feel like we're not achieving what we think we should be. And if she's like, I should be here by now, like I have this control, this magical tattoo, it could be, we could go really internal and just have her first meltdown.
right.
Like, she's been cool so far. like the popular girl seems great on the outside faking it, so maybe she finally has a meltdown and would be an
Mm-hmm.
internal bad guy.
Yeah.
Like her feelings finally get verbalized, maybe,
Yeah. For
about not being good enough.
sure. Mm-hmm.
Jacqueline says, check the emotional wound thesaurus. That thing is a lifesaver for internal bad guys. I didn't know about this. Can you share the link? Is that possible? Because I need to know about this.
Yes. And I
That's
think there's like a
cool.
series. Is that Cam
Mhm.
Weiland too? I can't
I've
remember
heard
who
the
it was.
series. I don't know who does it. Good question.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look
And
it
they're
up.
writing the source books. Yes. Yeah.
Totally Google.
Definitely. If somebody could put a link there, that would be awesome.
That'd be so
Um,
cool.
but yeah, so then we have these like external and internal bad guys, but when we talk about the structure of maybe how you could play with, when things happen, in the bad guys close in, again, we have the action, the pinch point, and then the renewed push to victory. So I think in the action, obviously, we have Laura taking action, going to find Thera, because now she understands that it wasn't Thera's clan for sure. It was the advisor. It was people from her own tribe, and she also needs to figure out her abilities. And then we even have Thera, who maybe they meet up trying to find each other, but Thera is like, I need help, like with my abilities. Like I can't do this on my own. Then there is this pinch point. So the antagonist power shows up again. This could be, what could we have for like the pinch point? What is like the mini, not like the all is lost, but what is like this mini kind of thing where like the internal or the external bad guys is like front and center. It's a reminder of the stakes, and it's a foreshadowing of the coming all is lost.
Oh, right. Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
What
okay.
if I can picture Laura's being, if it was her first time actually revealing that she's a griffin, because that's revealing new clues, like it says, and it foreshadows like her all is lost is that people aren't going to accept the griffin, at least at first. Maybe
Yeah.
we haven't figured that out.
Mhm.
I shouldn't say for sure.
Right.
But it definitely would foreshadow if her what's at stake is like revealing like oh, what if it was okay, let me rewind, backing up. What if it was that she has known about this, right? But she kind of settled into her tribe. When she got her tattoo, she got control and she's settled. So then when the tattoo is gone, when she finally embraces the griffin side and opens up to it, she can tell Thera, she can be like, this is crazy how much more powerful I feel, how much more blank, blank, blank. And she can kind of say, like, I feel like there's more freedom without the tattoo. And I feel like I'm actually, if I embrace this, I feel like I'm actually stronger. Like she could kind of hint at the what's at stake if we do go towards the ending of the tattoos being gone.
Right.
That would definitely show like what is at stake, like what happens if the tattoos are gone. She could kind of just hint at it.
Right. Yes, for sure.
And what about for Thera? What would be her at stake?
It could be like her breakdown moment, like we were just saying, of like where she just
meltdown.
Yeah, it was like her vulnerable like time where it's not all is lost, but she's like really struggling, and she like opens up to Laura and Laura's just like, look, like your abilities aren't you, like I don't know.
Yeah, it would be really fun if we could play with how, I'll never forget, it was you who said this to me, Brittany, that you were like, if you can bring the two characters together and they don't want to work together and they like, don't want to help each other, but it's towards a common cause, so they have to. That's always the most fun, is like when, so yeah, if Thera could be like, well, I have to stay with Lore now because I know that I have the Griffin abilities and I'm seeing her have them. So if she's going to figure it out, I probably have to stay with her, like a forced, they're
Yeah.
together.
Mm-hmm.
So then the renewed push to victory, what would that look like for them? That's that third.
I don't know. I feel like it might have to do too with like if we use Ingrid's idea of having something of value to both plans that could like help either get rid of the tattoos or morph them, whatever we decide.
Yeah.
Maybe like after the pinch point, they realize something about that, and then their renewed push is like, okay, like, and maybe there's like a time crunch too of like, we need to figure this out before such and such. I don't know.
I like that. Like, oh, so like you're saying like maybe so if they were on a quest together and actually going somewhere, like if Laura was on the way to get her tattoo back if she figured it out, which would make sense if she'd talked to Thera and finally figured out that how she lost it. If they're on this quest and they're going back there, maybe the raising of the stakes could be, first of all, Lore saying, you know what, I don't know if I want the tattoo back. Or it could be, you know what if I want the tattoo without whatever's making it bad, whatever's putting that control. And that's when they have the little, is that too soon to have that discovery though?
I don't know. This is where I even have stuff with my current story where I'm just like, is this the right place for this? Like, I know it needs to be in here somewhere, but I'm not sure. I think like you guys, Bethany and I, especially like off camera, we've just been like, you know what? We just need to put this right now and there's a room with it and we can always change it later. Like you guys are excited about this book, which we're really excited about. But after the whole outline is done, like Bethany and I are going to have to like start writing it and things might change. Like we might realize that like this is actually not as true to this certain character and how they're turning out that we thought, or this plot point needs to move over here. And so it actually might be fun, even though you guys have been through this journey with us, you might end up reading the story and being like, oh, this is actually like different and hopefully better
story.
So that's just like the beauty of just, I think you just gotta, and maybe that's a question for Jessica too, of just like, how do you know when you've actually gotten it? Like how many times in her own writing, because she uses the beats with all of her books, like how many times do you like set it up and then you start with the next part of the process, and do you end up re-outlining like multiple times, or how many times do you end up like moving things around? You know, I'm really curious.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a fantastic question. And if it's encouraging to you guys, I don't know if this will encourage anybody, but because I'm editing right now and I literally just moved a couple scenes around and I don't remember which beat it was, but one of the beats became a different beat because it was in a new place now and like I changed it. And so anyway, like just keep writing your draft. Don't get too hung up in this. Like get your beats what you think they'll be. But like Brittany said, when we write it, if we write it, it could very well and probably will change. I don't think I've ever had an outline stay the same, like not once. So in all 6 books, they've changed drastically, like by a lot. And so don't stress. Like just wanted to encourage you guys, if you're like, I have to get it right the first time, nobody gets it right the first time.
Yeah, it's just part of the process.
Yeah. But I would definitely love to hear what Jessica says. I agree. And if she like how closely she follows it, or when she knows to deviate. Because like, when do you deviate, and what are the little hints that you should? And
yes. Oh my gosh, this Q&A, guys, is going to be packed. It's going to be great.
I know, right?
We have one more. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say we're like running out of time for the brainstorming, but if everybody just wanted to send in their favorite parts of tonight, so we know like what's resonating with you and like the thing that you really, really want to stay in the outline, so we know.
Yes, that is super. Yes, please do that right now if you guys are still watching, or if you're watching the replay, put them in the comments. What that we've talked about tonight, because we've talked about a lot. What are you like? Please, please, please put this in here. I think this is the strongest part of what we've brainstormed tonight. Put that in the comments. Also, put in the comments what you would like us to talk about for the next like 20 or so minutes for your story, because we like to sort of wrap up some time helping you guys with, whatever beat you're struggling with, or part of your draft or character thing, and sort of help you guys as well. And not just Bethany and I, but anybody in the comments can help. Yeah. So we'll give you like a minute or so to type some of those things in. Again, first thing is, what from tonight are you like, please put this in the story. This was a great idea, or what you want us to help you with. I also, while we're waiting, I just have Ingrid is putting in one more idea. She said, maybe long, long ago, everyone had the ability to become griffins, but then an item or something went missing and the tribes started fighting and they got divided, literally. The tribes thought that the other had taken it to gain more power over the other, and it just became a war between them because of this.
Oh my gosh.
That's a cool idea.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
because it's like this like ongoing battle and they don't even know why they're fighting anymore. I totally relate to that.
Right, because maybe at some point they knew that they were fighting over the thing, but maybe it got lost, and now they're like, they don't know what they're fighting.
They have no idea.
Yeah. All right, Gabriella likes, I love the Lore and Thera meeting back up part. Okay, that's awesome. Andrea loves that the item gone missing. Okay, backstory. Sweet.
Good, good. When you say Gabriella then meeting back up, you're talking about the part where they, like Lore kind of goes out to find Lyra, right? You like that she kind of like goes out and they have to like work together, so to speak.
Mm.
Okay, cool, cool. Yeah, let us know, guys. This is awesome.
Yeah.
We have.
And also, if you have any other ideas for titles, working titles,
Oh yes, good catch.
let us know.
Like I missed some comments here, and I'm just seeing them now.
Yeah, no, we can go back to while we're waiting.
It says running into magic writing block. Second book in the trilogy, and it's 2 POV, and she says she's stuck with both POVs. One is in the past and the other is in the present, with one in the past trying to get back to the present. So you're struggling with like the magic specifically, like a writing block over magic, or you're running into a writing block. I'm just curious which one you meant.
Yeah, because if we're talking about like how to create a magic system and make sure it jives with each other, I think we're experiencing that right now.
Yes, yes, we are.
With a lot of Tetris and a lot of like sort of moving parts and trying to figure out what happens. So let us know if that's it or is it like more character stuff with the point of views.
If it is the magic one, can I just say, did you ever read Susan Dennard's last newsletter by any chance? Where she talks about note cards? I think it was her last.
Yes.
Or maybe 2 ago. Anyway, just to recap for you guys, she talks about how she literally, to keep things straight in her story, she puts everything on a note card, and then like she keeps the stack and she'll just like go through them, I think. And then what else was it? There was something else she did to keep them straight.
She had like little in her newsletter, she marked like she showed us some of the cards.
Yeah.
She marked like these are
if they're done
like,
or not.
and say it again.
If they're done or not, is that what you were gonna say?
Yeah, if they're done or not, and then like there were little like cues or codes for like this has to do with this character, or this has to do with this plot point, or this has to do whatever. And so as she finished them, she would mark that they were done and put them in a different pile. But as she was sort of working through things, she would like rearrange them and look at them and see how things connect in order to figure out like magic systems or plot holes or different things like that. It was really interesting.
Yeah, I need to try that because I feel like, yeah, once you, especially during editing or something, that's like kind of a version of a story Bible to keep track. Like, did I answer this? Did I answer this? Did I check that box? You know, is this plot hole still a problem? And
yeah,
yeah.
Sure. We have a question from Ingrid. Do you see that one?
Sure. Any tips on how to not lose confidence in the premise of your story and your ability to write it? It's a good question.
It's really good.
Start. You were.
I mean, at least for like confidence in your premise, anytime that I am like feeling like I don't know if this is gonna work, my CPs tell me it does. So Bethany and Bruna are my CPs, and like anytime they're reading some of my stuff, like obviously they're giving me thoughts on like what to improve and what needs to change, but like they're really good about encouraging me and like being like, yes, you need to finish this. I really want to read everybody needs to read this. And so if you have like people in your circle, your inner circle that especially CPs that you can trust that can give you like honest feedback and they're giving you that feedback of like, yes, this is great. Like, I don't know, like for me, it's just like helps.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree 100%. Like writing friends are seriously going to be huge to you being able to feel confident and like they'll pick you up if you're feeling down. Also, to answer your question about like your writing ability, if you have had writing friends like tell you, like write down what they say. Keep like a good things folder if you need to, or like if you have beta readers who have said good things, or even if you just have found things that encourage you. Like I know there's stuff on Pinterest that's like first drafts are just shoveling into the sandbox, you make it a castle later, and things like that that just encourage you and remind you of what you already know, because it's so easy to forget. And like you can be like, one day I'm a great writer, I can do this. Or even if you don't think you're a great writer, like just like a confidence, and then the next day you don't have it, but you can look back at those things to remind you. That helps.
Definitely. And always learn, like keep learning. I think
Mhm.
that always helps me too. It's just like if I don't feel confident in something, I'm gonna like find a YouTube video or find a
Yeah,
course or find a whatever, and I'm gonna get better at it. You know,
yeah,
like
yeah,
it may be that like certain aspects you need to grow in, and that's okay. You don't need
yeah,
to be like
yeah.
the best ever right now, and
Mhm.
but there's always like the ability to grow, especially with the internet days.
That
So
reminds me, did you see Alexa Dunn's video a while back? And she said, like, if you think you're the best, most amazing writer, you're probably not. And if you like have these concerns and you're stressed about it and whatnot, like that's a good thing because it probably means like you are good. Like if you're worried about it, and especially, I think I just said this to Bree today. I was texting her and I'm like, if you are this stressed about your story, it's because you care a lot. And if you care that much, you're probably going to put in the time it needs to make it the best that it needs to be. And like, so it's a good thing if you're worried in a weird way. It's like a good thing that you care that much because that means you're going to make it the best it can be. And you're actually going to like not give up until it's amazing.
yes,
So anyway.
agreed. Love it. So we've got a couple more questions we can try to fit in here. Gabriella says, in my story, I'm about to enter the all is lost beat, and I don't want things to be so bad for my characters. Girl, you just gotta do it. Gotta be real bad, or else it's not all is lost.
Oh my gosh, I have the same problem. It cracks me up. Yeah, I let everything be fluffy and nice for my characters in my first drafts, and then it's like you read it back and you're like, nothing's happening. Like there needs to be conflict for the reader to care. So unfortunately, you gotta like hurt your babies. Gotta do it.
Mhm. It's
That's
gonna, but it's not like hurting them just for the sake of hurting them. It's
yeah.
hurting them because it's going to, and that's why I love like Jessica Brody. Like
Mhm.
it's very philosophical, sort of in certain parts of just like it's true. Like people don't change unless things get really bad.
Yeah.
They don't realize that they need to go through some kind of transformation until they have no other choice. And so, to make it a compelling story, you really have to like give them no other choice. That they've hit rock bottom so that they can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and like, you know, it'll be worth it, and it'll be worth it for your character, especially if it's a happy ending.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, it's a good reminder of like you're hurting them because they need it. They need it to grow. Like it'll push them into like if you like lose a crappy job and you get fired, but it leads you to a new amazing job. Like it was all worth it in the end. So you got to remember like what are you going towards, and it'll be worth it.
Mm.
I saw another good one. Mary said, I'm having trouble getting the scenes to progress and figure out how they need to move around. And I'm a pantser and I think I'm going to have to plot, which is scary to me.
Mm.
What do you think, Brittany?
You're in the right place. You need to plot.
Yes. I love it. If it helps, I sometimes pants things without meaning to. It sometimes just happens. And I think you can go back and plot it. Like eventually, your story gets more structured no matter what. It should. Like you can pants a novel completely and then come back to it with this, like we said earlier, and
Hmm.
edit it later. Don't stress. You're Mary, you are in a first draft, right? I'm trying to remember. Or maybe you're actually editing now.
I think she said she's in like the second or third book,
Second or
or
third?
second book of the trilogy or something.
Okay. So yeah, if you're like drafting, I guess the ultimate advice that everybody always says is like just get it on paper because until it's out of your head and on paper, you don't always know what the heck you're working with.
Yeah. And if you're looking at scenes too, like you can make scene cards
Mm-hmm.
and like move them around so you don't have to like totally rewrite things. Like you
That's a
could
good
play
idea.
around with the order and see if you can see visually like what needs to change. And if the scenes don't feel like they're progressing, then maybe it maybe you don't have enough conflict. Maybe you don't have enough like things that are moving the plot along. And so it's like looking at those scenes and seeing like it's okay to have a scene that sort of takes a step back, but then you should be following it up with an event or some kind of scene that like pushes things forward.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's really
There's
good.
there's a retelling question, Bethany, that you won't be able to answer.
I
Katie
would love
says,
to. Oh, your
I'm
video's frozen, by the way. It's really sad.
I'm frozen.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I hope it comes back soon. It's like
Oh,
it stopped working, but you guys she's still here.
I'm
I
still
know it's
here.
starting to move again. It's starting to come back. So Brittany's still here.
I'm still here.
You guys are confused. Oh, there, you're back. Okay, you're good.
I'm back. Okay.
Yay!
Okay.
So the question is new to retellings. Katie says, I'm excited. Was wondering how much of the original story do you need in your retelling? I'm writing a YA Wizard of Oz retelling. That is so cool. Okay, so number one advice is check the copyright. There's like a 70-year or there's like longer ones now. If it's anything Disney, they've copyrighted like massively long time. And you never, never, never want to put something that's copyrighted in your story because you'll get in big trouble, like massive trouble. So my story is their retellings from like the 1700s. So they're definitely not copyrighted anymore, but Disney took them and redid them. So I'm trying to remember if the Wizard of Oz is copyrighted because I have looked into that. That was like a fun random thing that I read. You'll have to do your research, but just so you know, like research when and only include details and references to things that are outside of the copyright. Never, never, never. Like for example, in my Aladdin retelling, there's a lamp in the original story, so I include a lamp, and it's a really fun like Easter egg. But the genie in Aladdin, like the bright blue genie, I'm pretty sure that everything to do with him and also like the Jasmine character and the name Jasmine are all things that Disney created. And so if it's their creation, I am not touching it. So if that gives you any ideas and tidbits, I would say it's really fun with a retelling to take the skeleton but make it your own and like change it. Is like it can be a loose retelling and still be amazing.
For
so I
sure.
hope that helps. But yeah, be careful of copyright. You
Mhm.
want to do any other questions?
I think Brianna just asked, I'm so stuck or frozen in brainstorming mode, I can't let myself just start writing. I feel you. I love being in brainstorming and plotting mode. I think that like for me, like doing sprints with people and having like the accountability of just like, okay, right now I'm going to write something is helps me. And then also just like sometimes like I'll write like whatever I'm excited about writing, not necessarily what's happening next in the story or what's happening first in the story. And even if you don't end up using it, you know, like it's just have fun. Just open up a new document and be like, this is not the real thing. Just like convince yourself, this is not the real story. I am just like gonna have fun. I'm gonna set a timer and I need to write until the timer goes off. And you might find that you start gaining some traction.
I love that. I agree 100%. If you're with somebody else and you know you're supposed to write, it will stop you from Netflixing, personal experience. And then also when you say open a new document, I've totally done that and it does free you up. And another trick you guys could try is the Comic Sans, I think. Is that the joking? Like it's this weird font that looks so ridiculous that when you write in it, you feel like, this isn't real. And so if you guys want to try sometimes the tiniest little hacks like that, like opening a new document or using a weird font that makes you laugh can free you up to just be like, I'm just goofing around, and it takes the pressure off. So
yes,
definitely don't put pressure on yourself because that can literally like wrap chains around your creative brain, your creativity, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I love the next question. Hawkins, how to get unstuck from brainstorm mode. So like the same question.
Got it. Yeah. Well, hopefully that helps. And like, I think, you know, even Bethany and I during the plotting stage have been like, okay, like we have all these really awesome, like fun ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Have to pick one and just start moving in a direction.
Yep.
You know?
So maybe a time limit on it. Would you say it would be smart to be like, because that's what we've done is been like, all right, we have 20 minutes to figure this out.
Yes. And if it's not working, then we're going to move on to the next idea. You know, and you can even like rate your ideas or like try to order them or talk about them with somebody you trust and be like, which idea do you think I should start running with? And just like try it. And then if it doesn't work, then just try the other one.
Yep, definitely. And to you guys, I just saw this. Andrea said for some reason all I could see when Brittany talks was her profile, and that's because her video is freezing, but I think it's good now. It looks good on my end, hopefully. But yeah, dance around, see if it works.
We're going to be ending in a few minutes anyway, you guys.
But I think it's working now.
Yeah.
She then says pants the first draft and then go back and outline. She's giving you guys advice, and I think that could totally work. Yeah. Do
Cool, cool.
we have one more? I'm gonna see if I can find one more good question, and then we could end. Does that sound good?
Yeah. Did Anna is that a new question there at the bottom there?
At the
Or
bottom.
I think that's advice.
Ooh, I'll still read it. Sounds good.
Yeah.
She says, for me, it worked reading the STC book while writing down some ideas I had for each beat and then doing some brainstorming, but your mind would be stuck in the beats, so you would go back to the outline faster. So yeah, you're saying to kind of just like soak in the beats so well that as you outline, it kind of keeps you on track.
Yeah.
I love that. Jacqueline says Wizard of Oz is not copyrighted anymore. I'm pretty sure. I always find a translation. Oh yeah, because Jacqueline's writing retellings too, you guys. So if you need to go ask her or Clary on Instagram, and she has like multiple retellings, I think. So anyway, she says I always find a translation of the original story and use that as my springboard. So yeah, going back to the original. Like, and by the way, super fun side note, some of them are very creepy. Like, never look into the original Sleeping Beauty unless you want to be scarred for life. I think it was, yeah.
Oh, it's so
Anyway, it's bad. It's really bad.
yeah. But it's definitely worth looking into. So my main character in my current work in progress has like elements of Elphaba from the musical Wicked, which
Oh,
is
cool.
is like obviously is a reinterpretation
Mhm.
or like building off of the Wizard of Oz. But I started looking up like some YouTube videos to try to understand like, the character arc and different things. And somebody was going through all the different retellings
Oh,
of Wizard of
cool.
Oz and like all the movies,
Oh my
really, not
gosh.
books, but just like movies. And she was mentioning like, oh, this part is like definitely copy, like this aspect, like an aspect of like the witch is like super copywritten or like this or that and the other thing. So it's definitely worth like looking into and just making sure before you get too committed to anything.
Yep, because you don't want to have to do like a whole rewrite later and be like, I can't use any of this. That would be really sad. Like, for example, I was at first going to advertise my books as like an Aladdin retelling from the Jasmine perspective, but I can't because I can't say Jasmine because that's not, nope.
Right.
So anyway, but since like I love how it's turned out and I think it's actually almost cooler to have it not be an exact retelling because readers like to see surprises and they also like that the Easter eggs come out, like they're reading a brand new original story and then it's like, oh, that's the lamp. That's like, oh my gosh, that's so exciting. And then it goes back into, your original story. And so I think it could be really fun. Like, for example, the Court of, I can never remember how to say it, the Court of Thorns and Roses, right?
Yes.
Avatar is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. But you would not, like, I didn't catch that until, I don't know, 2 books in or something like that.
Well, actually, if you read the back of Throne of Glass,
Yeah.
it was loosely a Cinderella retelling.
No
Like,
way. Oh
very
my
like
gosh.
yeah, like but like super, super loose. Like I had no idea, but I read like her like acknowledgments or like some like note from the author or something in the back of the book, and she was
Okay.
talking about how it started as like a Cinderella, like because like she comes to the ball and like
Yes.
it's very, very loose, but had and that's why she has a name that starts with a C.
Selena? Yeah.
Yeah,
Selena. So,
which sounds like Cinderella. Like it's
yeah, I love that. It's so cool. So yeah, I don't know how closely you want to go with the retelling, but it can be fun to play with that. Somebody's saying I think I'm following up. Following up on how I said Sleeping Beauty is terrifying. If you look at the original, Brianna says, or the original Little Mermaid. Yes. Also, very sad ending. They used to love really sad endings. Just putting that out there. And then somebody else said also Alice in Wonderland. I don't know if you're saying that it was sad or not, but
that movie is trippy enough. I don't know anything more than that. My friend and I watched that when we were like in early college, and we were like, "Oh yeah, let's watch Alice in Wonderland." Like I remember that, and we watched it. And we are like, "What is happening right now?"
yeah. You're like, how did this become a movie? How do kids watch this?
So weird. Okay, anyway,
yeah, we should probably wrap up, but
we should.
Do we have any fun announcements or anything we wanted to say for next week?
We are going to be on Bethany's channel. We are talking about the All Is Lost beat,
Oh,
and yeah, and the Dark Night of the Soul. I'm pretty sure.
thank you for giving me those, Brittany. Did you plan that out? Did you
I did
figure
not.
out?
No, it just happened that way. Um, but yeah, no, but we already sort of have some ideas for that as well, so it's good.
We
And
do.
and
Yeah.
definitely keep sending us through the website newsletter. We have like a little survey if you are on our newsletter, to ask questions for Jessica Brody, because we are collecting those. And we probably won't be able to get through everybody's, but we want to, yeah, sort of find if some people have similar questions. We're gonna put those together because she's coming on May 1st. We'll be back on my channel at that point, and
Oh, yeah.
yeah, we're gonna interview her and ask all the questions. So that should
Yay.
be really fun. Um, yeah, and I think that's all.
I think so too. Yeah, if you're watching this on the replay by any chance, you can always put your questions in the comments below too. I'm pretty sure Brittany will be able to get those and gather those well. And yeah, bring your tissues next week because we're gonna be crying. It's gonna be sad. All is lost, you guys. That was
Oh,
so perfect.
so sad. No, it'll be good. Then we'll be onward
Yeah.
to, well, our bittersweet ending, which is what
Yeah.
but
I can't believe how far we are. I don't know if you guys feel this way, but it feels like everything is unknown going forward right now, but everything backwards, it's like, how did we come up with this much? And it's crazy. So
yeah.
thank you
Yeah,
guys.
if you guys have been here from the very beginning, like, let us know in the comments right now, uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
because kudos to you for sticking with us.
Yes, yes. It's been so fun that you guys hang out with us. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think we're gonna wrap up.
Mhm.
We'll see you next week again on Bethany's channel, and we just have a few more, and we'll be done this story. And we're so excited. This has been like a really fun adventure with all of
Yes,
us. So.
yes. Thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.